Oh, you're muted.
And I had the perfect intro, and I
There we
screwed it
go.
up. Yeah.
Aw.
Wah, wah. Already off to a good start. Anyway, everybody, welcome to another weekly edition of Tuffy Talk Live. We're happy you're here. If this is your first time, welcome. Normally, there's like a bunch more than us. Tonight, you just get two of us because our fearless leader, Mr. Layton, is another year around the sun. I don't know what he's at now, like 30, 31, I think.
It's 30th.
Is it 30? Well, big 30.
I think
All right,
so.
dirty 30. Dirty 30. So his lovely wife is out treating him to an evening out, and then Macon is living his best lead of, what is that stupid song, Living La Vida Loca? He's down in Mexico doing some work for his company, and Ken's is still got a draft hangover. She's putting in the overtime with the Carolina Panthers, and Lindsay's off doing MLB stuff, so you just get me and Michael tonight. So what's up, my friend?
Yeah, I missed last week, so I haven't been on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll get the whole gang back together. I feel like we got the summer coming up, and there'll be some dog days, and people will just be hanging out waiting for football. But yeah, we're here. That's all that matters. I mean, you get two of us at least.
Mm-hmm.
Life good, man. You doing good?
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend. We'll get into it. Lots to get to this episode. We have literally every sport to talk about, believe it or not, even with the sports that aren't even in season, because I feel like these days the season never ends with all the portal and everything. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to start, but I came up with I got a lot of tweets of the week, so I think we'll just make it a kind of a tweet of the week show since it's just you and I, and we'll just spin it up and talk about it and see where this conversation goes. So let's do it. All right, I think we're going to start with baseball because that's kind of the end thing right now, and good week for the most part for the Pack. Went 3-1. Did take a midweek loss to ECU, losing or dropping that game 10-6, I believe it was. But came back strong on the weekend and swept Ball State, a team out of the MAC that's currently sitting third in their conference. So not a bad team. A good break before you get the last back third of the ACC schedule, because it's about to get ugly quick.
So starting with that ECU game, State doesn't have the starters to put out there. At least that when these midweek games are against also top 25 teams like Coastal Carolinas, the ECUs, it's tough. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but State's just been having a tough time this year with injuries. But a sweep over Ball State, that's great. Yeah. I mean, Ball State is it's not like a 300 plus team you just kind of threw in there. I think there's right around 100 in the RPI. So it was pretty solid. Good weekend.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. We talk about, the midweek games and, the state's struggles at times with those midweek games. And you look at it and, the ACC is such a tough schedule. And so you want to win those games, right? Obviously you want to win all the games, but you definitely put more eggs, I think, in your ACC basket than you do your midweek games. Right. So you want to make sure that your pitching is solidified for those weekend games. And so you kind of, like last week against ECU, it was pretty much a bullpen game. You had guys, that don't always get a start. You had threw some guys out there, and look, you were in it. You had those that back home run.
That was sweet
last week. Yeah, and AMAC getting a home run, returning back to the jungle there at ECU. So, you had some momentum. You had a lead, and it just kind of slipped away. And ECU is a good team. They're scheduled. They're slotted probably a top 8, top 10 national seed more than likely. Barring a late season collapse on their part. So it's there's no shame going to ECU and dropping a ball game.
Yeah. It's tough because Jackson Lucas is like starting a game against a top 10 team. It's like, okay. it's
Yeah.
like, we shouldn't be losing to ECU, but then at the same time, it's like, okay, wait, well, look who's available and who's pitching. But that was a game where we were going to have to score, 10 plus to win, obviously.
Yep. And it just didn't happen, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Like I said, we came back and on Friday night, Sam pitched a really nice game. I think he threw like 5 1/3, gave up no runs. Cozart's still doing Cozart things. He's up to 6 home runs in his last 7 games, and he's been, tearing it up. I was kind of surprised not to see some, ACC, recognition or, maybe national recognition player of the week. Like I said, he's been tearing it up since. I mean, some of it's kind of a carryover from Carolina last week, but I mean, he hit 1 against ECU, and I think he hit 3 more against Ball State this weekend. So, he went out and did his thing, and then Saturday, Dom had a really nice performance. Didn't give up anything in his game. They scored 3 runs in the second game, but one of those was an unfortunate play, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. And then Sunday they played another solid game. Again, this is the final here that we have on the tweet here, 11-3. That was the first victory over Cancer Day that State has put on, which was a very nice event for their first time ever. There's definitely some things that they could do better, and I'll definitely be reaching out to some folks just to kind of give them some, generous, not generous, but constructive things that they could do. I thought they could have advertised the ways to give a little bit better. The jerseys that the players wore, I think it would have been pretty cool if they were selling those, $50 a pop or whatever, with the proceeds going to the V Foundation. That would have been kind of cool, just a ways to raise some money. But they did a great job. They raised $50,000 from the game, almost $51,000, with $50,860. So all around a great effort. I believe, I think it was, I know Win Scott was part of it, and I want to say it was Havner as well. Matt Havner was part of the team council that put that together. So kudos to those guys. And of course, Coach Avent, his nephew, is going through some stuff right now with cancer. So that was kind of the, what do you call it? The vision for that event. But what are your thoughts on State doing these kind of cool events? Obviously they have the Play for K games, and the coaches cancer, for men's basketball. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, obviously. I feel like State does a really good job of that. I mean, and it's usually for unfortunate reasons because of Jimmy V and Kay Yao, but their legacies have gone on to do great things, and this is just kind of in that same vein. The jerseys, the yellow jerseys, it was like, I don't know, like it was, but then it was like, I don't know, after it was like 2 innings, it was like, okay, we're just wearing, it looks kind of good. I kind of like the red and yellow. It looks good.
Yeah. Kind of looks like the Bucks a little bit.
A little bit.
Old school Bucks, but it was cool. Both teams had yellow ribbons in their hats, just kind of, put people on there, think that they're thinking about them. And some of the players on State wrote on the back of their jersey some people that mean special things to them, with have had cancer involved in their lives.
I noticed that some of them had actual people's names, and then some of them just like Kurt.
Yeah, and I wanted to find out. Eli Serrano actually had Harper on the back of, and I know he gave his jersey to a little girl, and so I would like to maybe know the backstory if her name was Harper, and and maybe he was just playing the game for her. But the guys had all kinds of different things on the back of their jerseys, different slogans, and fight, and and just courage and some things like that. And some of them had some other things on the name, so maybe those were kind of people they were potentially playing for. But all around, a really nice job. Trey Turner's wife Kristen was there, and her son was there. They threw out the first pitch. That was pretty cool. I don't know Trey's little son's name, but he threw out the first pitch like 3 times because he didn't want to hold the ball. So they had to keep giving it back to him, and he kept just tossing it. And he had a good time on the mound. He was kind of digging in, like he was gonna really do a real pitch. And Trey Turner's dad, I believe his dad's name is Mark, if my memory serves me correctly. He was there. So all kinds of cool people, and just a really good event. I don't want to keep harping on it and keep going on about it, but a great inaugural event, and lots of money raised for a good situation and a good cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, we'll talk a little bit more baseball here. unfortunately, we had that horrible play in game 2, which led to an inside the park home run. That's why I said they scored 3, but it really should only been 2. But Josh Hogue, who's having a great season, by the way, the transfer in, he's batting third with batting .314 on the team, and just he was filling in for another guy with Noah Souls, and it's an unfortunate injury. So now we'll talk about some of the ramifications and the effects of it, but so Josh Hogue broke his leg. That news kind of came out, and we knew pretty quickly that it was broken. And ironically, it's the same leg and same bones that I broke in my leg. He broke his fibula and tibia, and that's a tough surgery. Yeah. He'll be out. Coach Avent said 4 months. I know that dude's an athlete, so it was longer for me than 4 months, but I know he'll have the best staff, and he has access to physical therapy. And so we wish Josh all the best, and Godspeed with your recovery. And he had his surgery last night, and I hadn't heard anything in any regards, but I know his family was coming up to be with him. The team was visibly shaken in that injury. The guys in the bullpen were just like, they had a
it's one of those you got to look away. It's like,
it wasn't good. So we definitely thinking about you, Josh. And this is talking about this tweet here from Wolfpack Stats is Hogue's injury is a damper on a real productive weekend. Ball State is competent, dominant sweep, kind of like you were saying, Michael. And then Heifel back on track. Yeah, Heifel's had a really, he gave up a couple of home runs against Carolina, but again, he's getting back into that form that we know he's capable of. And Butterworth, another laser shot. That home run. When he hits them, he hits them on a rope. He's not hitting towering home runs like Amac or Pennington. They get on a line, but another nice home run for him. And like we already just talked about Cozart, and 6 home runs in 7 games, which is just insane.
That's big. You're going to need that from those guys, but especially now with Hogue out and Souls out, because they weren't having the best first half of the season. I think Cozart had maybe 3 home runs before those last 6 in the last 7 games or something. So
he's up to 12 now. Okay. Your point.
So he had 6. Last month. Right. Last 7 games, he's had the same amount he had the whole rest of the season.
Yeah.
So the RPI, I think I saw it this morning. It's actually up to 20. Yeah.
This was from yesterday.
Like he notes here, if we're still got a chance at hosting a regional, you're competing with Wake, Duke, and Coastal, and all them lost series this weekend. So that RPI really, I think, went from 29 on Friday to 20 on Monday.
Yep. So and it's only going to go up with all these wins, right? Because we have UNCW, which is not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination, and then we got a weekend series with 5/7, depending on who you subscribe to, with Florida State, and then we go back to UVA. We go back to UVA, and then we end the season with Wake Forest. So, like you said,
in that Wake series, looking. Obviously, you have 2 before that. That'll influence what happens, but that could be like, winner of this series gets to host a regional.
Yeah,
both State and Wake are probably right on that line.
Yeah, and you could be looking at a top 4 seed in the ACC tournament, which is huge, right?
That too,
because you need that top 4, to make your path to the weekend a little easier. We'll talk about that once, it's complicated, so we won't bog the conversation down right now, but so you're gonna have to see some folks step up. We talked about Noah Souls. He's starting to take some batting practice, so he's getting a little bit closer. You might see him against Florida State, maybe make an appearance. I probably would lean more towards UVA for him being back. But what the Hogue injury, you saw yesterday that Havner came in to play second. He did end up playing third in the Saturday game. And because they gave Amac the day off defensively, and then you saw Luke Nixon go from second out to right. So you have the Nixon brothers in the corner and Eli in center, and then Havner shifted to second So that's kind of probably what you're going to look at least until Noah Souls comes back, and then obviously they'll they're not going to rush the guy back, but you definitely would probably feel more comfortable having Souls, a natural right fielder, out there. Though Nixon did play, I want to say Nixon played a little outfield in the fall, but I might be wrong in that.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised just to get him on the field probably.
Yeah,
but you're really getting thin now. I mean, Heavener's solid. I think he's got a pretty good glove. He had a couple good extra base hits this weekend, but
yeah, he's batting 206. I mean, he's played in 17 games and started 12, and you kind of hope that if you get him in there, you get him into a rhythm, get him some bats, he can feel comfortable.
Right.
When you're getting these spot starts, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get in that rhythm, because baseball is such a rhythmic sport in all regards. But go ahead.
You just I mean, at this point you're pretty much down to the last real options that you feel okay, we can still win a series with these guys. Then if you lose one more guy, you're counting on some true freshmen and some guys that really haven't played at all this season once you get past Heavener. So fingers
really
crossed
are
there.
I'm looking at some stats here, and you're right. Like, I mean, you've got Carson Falskin, who's had limited action this year, who's a senior, and then you have Sosa, who's a catcher. So you really you're only
hide him at third base maybe, but
but your only true outfielder at this point that's seen any action is Jake Bechtel. He's played some left out. He's not left out. He's played some left outfield for you. So again, maybe, and I know Chase has played right field before, so maybe you could slide over. Again, we hope not to have to get to this level.
Yeah.
These are capable guys, but now if you need a pinch runner or a pinch hitter, your options are becoming limited because you just don't have guys off the bench that can come there for you.
Yeah. It's not he can't put in a pinch runner and then replace him with somebody else. It's like, no, that guy's got to play probably.
Right. And so hopefully we're getting on the mend there. And then Logan Whitaker still dealing with his stuff, and maybe hopefully we can get him back in the near future. We'd love another arm. Especially a starting arm, when you're getting into conference tournament play and postseason play where you're having to play back-to-back games, and you want all hands on deck. Hunter's in the show. Let's catch up on the chat here a little bit. What's up, Hunter? Always glad to have you here on board with us. And then Michelle asks, when is Souls potentially returning? Yeah, so he started to take a little BP this past weekend. They were kind of hoping that maybe he might have been available against Ball State, but that didn't come to fruition. And so obviously, logically, they're probably hoping for Florida State. Just depends on how he's doing, how his recovery is coming from, getting some live action. My guess is the hitting, the running's probably what he's having the most issue with, with that ankle foot. So if I had to guess, obviously, I'm not a trainer or any, have any inside information. I would honestly think probably Virginia would be the maybe, or maybe they get him in midweek against Norfolk State next week. Again, just depending on how he's coming about, those off days, recovery days, you can go out and do stuff and you feel fine, but it's the next day, is anything swelling up? Are you having any other discomfort? Those things are what kind of, bite you, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's probably a good wrap on baseball. Again, good solid week, 3-1. We got UNCW, and then we go down to Tallahassee for 3. Ideally, well, actually, let's just wrap this real quick, because we were talking about the host here. Realistically, what are you thinking, Michael, in order to get one of those top 16 national seeds and host a regional? What do you think State still has to do?
I think you got to win at least 2 out of these last 3 series.
Do you see a better path? So if you tell me you're going to win 2 out of 3, which 2 do you want?
I said Wake for sure, just because we'll probably, when it gets down to it, we'll probably be competing with them for a spot. I think Florida State and UVA they've already won enough games and series. I think they're kind of locked in there. So yeah, give me Wake and then either one of the UVA or Florida State. They're both on the road. They're both top 10 teams.
I'm greedy. Give me Florida State. Just because they're a little bit better. Plus they're in your division, your side of the division.
Yeah,
Virginia
that's
doesn't help you as much. So if you give me those two, I think, and you don't go lay an egg at the ACC tournament. You don't lose both games. I think if you win 2 out of 3, win a game or two at the ACC tournament, I think you're, obviously everything else matters. What everyone does around you, but I think you're definitely in the conversation to host a regional. Right.
Yeah. And we're sitting at 12-8 in the ACC right now. 12-9.
So we're 25-16, 21-6. I'm sorry, 25-16 overall, 21-6 at home, 4-10 away. So that's been kind of our Achilles heel, and we're 12-9 to your point. In the
12-9. So, yeah. Okay. So you got 9. So 9 ACC games left.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you can go
7-2, 6-3,
yeah, that would be great. I'm thinking if you can go 5-4, that's just winning 2 out of 3 series. That would obviously be no sweeps either way.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would do it.
Yep, and you still have 2 non-conference games. Like I said, you have UNCW tomorrow at the Doak, which is a 5:00 game, which is a really weird time. I was talking
early.
Yeah. Apparently, someone told me that UNCW likes to play early because they got to travel 2 hours back home. So
that's true.
So that kind of makes sense. But and then Norfolk State next week, which will in the midweek games, because the last week of the season we have a Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Wake. So no midweek game that week. But let me see. Razor says here. Let me pull it up. I think we need to win. We need to win 4 and 2 in the next 2 weekends and win the game in the ACC. Yeah, I think so too. I would agree. The big ones, like I said, are for me are Florida State and Wake Forest. Those are guys in your division.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the next topic here. We're gonna talk a little NIL for a moment. The One Pack NIL Collective here is thank you, Wolfpack Nation. Another incredible night raising money for at Pack football student athletes, and we couldn't do it without you. Yeah, another. This was the second one that they've done with the football, and what was it 180,000 and some change? Is that what the number was? 160,000. What was the number
that they raised? Not 860,000.
860,000. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
High school math's hard, my friend. Yeah, 860,000. So that's what the number was. It was 160,000 more than last year. That's where
correct. Yeah. That's right. We were right around 700,000 last year. So
So look, great turnout. Some North Carolina State legends there. Nice Q&As. Next year, I was talking to Reed Johnson over I think it was maybe the weekend or last week sometime. I can't remember when. And he's like, brother, you got to get down here. And I'm like, bro, have it on the weekend.
Yeah, weeknight.
Weeknight's a little tough. But hey, kudos to everyone that showed up for these things. They're not, not possible unless people show up and support, and lots of great prizes. My buddy Chris won the cooler and the shrimp. So he was trying to give me shrimp last weekend, and I didn't get to catch up with them. But they literally had shrimp in the cooler already. Like he thought.
What are you gonna do with? You got to start cooking that right away. That's gonna go bad.
Yeah. So it was pretty funny. I was like, bro, you literally got the shrimp. He goes, yeah, I didn't think I'd be carrying a cooler of shrimp home that night. His wife Jamie was awesome. Macon knows them really well. Used to be their neighbors, but yeah, it was just pretty funny reaching out to him. He sent me a picture of his shrimp and cooler. I was like, what are we doing, bro? Let's go cook it. But great event. Those they did another, that speed painter came in and did a painting of Peyton Wilson, and that's
thing pretty impressive what he does, because he does it with his fingers too. It's like a finger painting, and he just does it right there in that hour or whatever.
And he does it upside down, and it's like upside down, and like. Yeah. I can't
looks
paint
real.
Yeah, the only thing I can do
looks like a real picture of him.
Yeah, that was legit. Yeah.
The
only thing I can do is like a hand turkey, like Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That's like the only
yeah.
thing I can paint. I can do some stick figure dudes, and but yeah, next week I told Reed, I said I'll be there next year. I'll figure out a way to be there, and I definitely want to support and try to do something. And I even told him, like, look, you can auction off my tailgate experience. I'll go cook tailgate for somebody if it'll raise a couple bucks for NIL. So
That's a good one.
yeah. So if anyone's interested, let's make it happen and raise some money for Savage and One Pack NIL. Speaking of Savage, and go to the next one here, the new vodka that just came out by Social House and Savage Wolves Vodka. And I meant to go get some this weekend when I was down in Raleigh, and I just got sidetracked. So that'll be my first purchase when I get down there next time. They're $30, which isn't horrible.
No, that's solid for one just a regular old bottle of vodka. But I think you can buy it online too, depending on what state you're in. So.
Yes. So if you are in one of those states that allow liquor to be shipped, you can do that. I don't know if I can. So Virginia used to be one of those because it's ABC controlled, much like North Carolina, and I'm not sure if we can get those here in the state. But I definitely want to make sure. I got some guys that are down there that probably can pull me a bottle or two, and I'll catch up with them. But yeah, make sure we go support these guys. I'm all about supporting businesses that support state. If you go to the One Pack NIL website, they have like all the businesses that sponsor NC State, all the corporate businesses. So definitely go, send them some business and some love if you have the ability or are looking for potentially services in their realm. It's great to kind of help each other out and raise awareness and funds for the team.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of One Pack NIL, we're going to have Chris Vanakis on this week. He's the general manager of One Pack NIL. We'll probably definitely be talking more about the event that took place last week. And, we're real big here on this channel of trying to bring awareness, and, anyone that, supports NIL, there's still lots of questions out there. And I was talking, with some folks and talking about women's basketball NIL, and that's an area where we need to get stronger at. And they did a nice job with baseball this year, having an event that's similar to what they did for football. They had a kind of like a 2021 baseball reunion kind of thing that raised close to $400,000, which is a nice number. But the rest of these teams in the sports, they need the love too. Like the softballs, and we did some stuff here on the channel with that, and the golf team and gymnastics, and all these people. Everyone has their hand out, and everyone kind of needs some support. And I'm really hoping, not to make this too much of an NIL conversation, but I'm really hoping that maybe potentially soon that this all comes under the umbrella for the Wolfpack Club. I think it just makes it easier for folks to donate money and less confusion. Because people are like, well, I donate to this, but well, you don't donate to that, but you need this and you need that. And,
Well, I think we're going to get to a point, sooner rather than later, where the school is actually paying the athletes, not even just the Wolfpack Club. I think
that would be even better.
Will be paying them. Yeah. So
yeah, I would totally support that. Yeah. And you're kind of speaking of collective bargaining with the payouts of the different TV revenue contracts, just like they do in football and baseball and probably hockey. I don't know how their collective bargaining works, but I would assume it's probably something similar. And ticket sales and all of that, they'll probably get a percentage, and that'll be a fun time to talk about when it gets here, because it'll be a mess. And so you think it's crazy now? It's probably gotta get a little rougher before it gets better, I would imagine.
Yeah, but that's just how it's gonna have to go, because just to bring it back to some sort of across the board standard rules that everybody has to follow. And
right, because you essentially you want a level playing field, right? And that's kind of what that's what salary caps are in sports, is to try to level the. Of course, you have those sports that are like, baseball is the one where you can spend over the salary cap, but you got to pay taxes, and I hope that never becomes a thing in college football, because if you don't want to see where the rich get richer, because you already have like a handful of teams that are always competing, and I like to see other teams. All right. So what do we got next? All right. So we're going to jump to football a little bit. Coach Dorn got a new contract. He got an extension from 2027 to 2029. I don't have all the particulars in front of me, but he's going to get paid by the end of this contract. I think by the time this thing is done, he's going to be over $6 million a season. I think he's right around 5 and some change, I think now. And then, now with the restructuring of college football playoffs and ACC's championships. And so his numbers kind of changed as far as payouts. We saw Coach Keats, cash in on a lot of those bonuses. So Coach Doran and his staff get paid handsomely if they're able to perform and get some postseason wins for the team. But what are your thoughts on a contract extension? I mean, this will take him to 2029. I kind of thought he might be done. You kept hearing about he might be done. After his current contract, but now you see this. So, kind of give me your thoughts, Michael.
Yeah, and I think that probably still could be the case. I mean, he can retire whenever he wants. Yeah. But I think just for recruiting and program stability, you have to at least have the coach signed at least 3 to 4 years out, so the guys that are the high school recruits you're recruiting know that you're going to be the coach there. That really, I mean, he could stay through 2029 or he could retire after next year. I mean, it doesn't really
the ACC championship and maybe win some other things. Who knows, right?
Yeah. So, I don't think it's a guarantee we have Dorn still through 2029. If he wants to keep coaching, we will. But also, if he does win a championship this year, and this increases the buyout if another school was to come after him. So.
Yeah. So right now, he's entering year 13, and this would be another 5. So that would take him to 18 years at NC State. Which you think about it, that's a long time. That's a long time if he sees the end of the contract.
When you put it like that, that is pretty crazy. 18. He would be at the end of this. Yeah, he would be 18.
I think entering 18 or at 18. Well, something like that. I mean, that's an incredible number. I couldn't even tell. Is he the longest tenured coach ever? I've never really dug into that.
I think at this point, unless we're talking way back, but
yeah, that's my thing. I'm only going the modern era, right? And so, anyone before Lou Holtz, I'm struggling to figure out how long they've been there. As far as my knowledge goes. But yeah, we can definitely look up that at some point and figure that out. But if I would think 18 would be the record for sure. I don't think anyone will would have been here that long. So, but congrats to Coach, and we hope we have him here at least at 2029, and as long as he'd like to stay, especially if we get that elusive ACC championship that he's trying to get, because when he came here, it was the whole 1 pack 1 goal mantra, slogan, whatever you'd like to call it, and his goal was to win championships. And I think having seen these runs by both the basketball coaches, he's probably as hungry, if not as hungry as ever, for his and his team's postseason success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned this another time. You think obviously he's been motivated, but you think seeing Keats win a championship before him, I think that might give him a little extra motivation.
Yeah.
And, I've been, reading the message boards, and, some people are saying, maybe this takes some pressure off of Dorn, right? Because the fan base in general just wanted to win something, and now basketball's done it. So it's okay, football.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
because
a little less pressure,
maybe. Right? And to that point, I think we always thought it was going to be football before basketball, right? It just kind of felt like that
absolutely,
it was still trending that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah. Fan base is a little bit more chill, right? We got our championships, and we're all right, cool. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. So yeah. But
to go back to answer, so Earl Edwards was here 16 years.
16. Yeah. So that's the coach
70.
Yeah, that's the coach he just surpassed this past year with the total team victory. So that would make sense. But yeah, okay, cool, good information to get there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the draft. Our very own. This makes. First off, congrats to Peyton Wilson and Dylan McMahon on their draft selections. I think that takes it to 13 drafted players, I think is the number. Maybe I don't know. For some reason 13's in my head. I don't know where I'm associating that with, but I think
for Doran,
I think it's 13, right?
I want to say it's more than that.
I think it's more, maybe 11 or 13 is in the top 3 rounds. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to go research it. My mind is. It's been a long day at work. So, but anyway, let's talk about Peyton Wilson first. Getting drafted number 98 overall in the 3rd round to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kind of just give me your first thoughts on it, and I definitely want to break this down a little bit because people were shocked, I guess, maybe a little bit to see him go as late as he did. Especially with some of the team's needs that you kept seeing.
Yeah.
Like you got seeing linebacker need. And you had a team like Green Bay who took 2 linebackers before.
2 linebackers.
Right. So kind of just give me your thoughts through the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, I was hoping the Panthers were going to take him in that 3rd round. He was right there for him.
I was hoping the Bucs were too, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the Panthers need a linebacker, but
yes, so did the Bucs.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like the NFL draft is so
finicky.
Because you're not just drafting on who was the best college player. Because obviously he won the best. Yeah, if that were the case, he would have been the first defensive player off the board. But it's just not how it works. But even with that, I think he probably still went a little later than I thought. I thought he might sneak into the end of the 2nd, early 3rd, and it ended up being late 3rd. But as far as fit, I like this, the Steelers. I feel like is perfect for Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, that just he screams being a Steeler, right? Like that nasty, defensive minded
steel curtain.
Yeah. Like, so for me, to your point, when you were saying that you were surprised that he went later, I was thinking early 3rd round. I was thinking, somewhere in the 60 to 70 range at the worst, but I thought he could sneak up as high as about 52, right? So I thought the sweet spot would be 52 to 66, 68, somewhere around in that neighborhood. But there's, you got a guy here who's had injury history, and so like there's going to be teams that automatically won't even talk about him. He's already off their board, with having knee injuries and shoulder injuries. So you probably can already knock off probably 4 to 6 teams easily, probably potentially more, right? Based on his medicals. And then you have a guy that's 24 years old. You got some guys that are already on their 2nd contract at 24.
Right.
If you got a guy coming in at 2021, they could potentially be on close to their 2nd contract. And so you kind of add those 2 things together, and then like you said, needs of teams, right? Not every team needs a linebacker, so then there's some teams that are going to get scratched. So you start dwindling that list from 32, maybe down to 12 to 16 teams that potentially are going to look at taking him. And so
I would say it's probably less than that when you combine everything you're saying. It's probably 6 to 8 teams,
right? And then based on that, where does the linebacker fit on their chart? So to what you're getting at, it makes sense. But as an NC State fan, you're like, what are these people looking at? What are they thinking? He should be like you said. He's the Buckus Award winner. What was the other B one? What was that one?
Benerick.
Benerick. Yeah, he's that one. And it's no brainer. And then you see these other linebackers that don't have the same numbers, because again, it's not all about numbers either, right? It's not about what you ran at the 40 at the combine or how many lifts of 225 that you did. It's schematically like what defense are you running?
You may not even be a fit in their defense. Yeah,
right. So you add all that up and you get number 98 in the 3rd round. Jumping over to Dylan McMahon, though, here's a guy that went in the 6th round. Pick, what is that, 190?
190,
yeah, 190.
Yeah.
He's going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and who's the first person you think of at center for the Philadelphia Eagles that just retired? Is this guy potentially heir apparent to Kelsey? Was Kelsey? I know the guy that they have in there now that they were grooming. Like Kelsey kind of handpicked that guy. I'd be curious. Did Kelsey have any say in Dylan McMahon potentially coming to the team? Guy with that's revered in that organization as Jason Kelsey is. Maybe he had a say in this, and I think that's pretty cool. But so got two guys going to the state of Philadelphia, one on each end of the state. So kind of give me your thoughts on Dylan McMahon getting drafted where he did.
Yeah, I think for him that was pretty much where he was kind of projected to go. He was going to be, if he was going to go, it would be 6th or 7th round. So, not as big of a surprise to see him go there. But it's funny. If you go back to last year, he wasn't even playing center. He was playing guard, and it's like there were, you
it's
really
struggling a little bit
him
too.
as a draft prospect.
Yeah. He kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. And then so those were the only two guys that we got drafted, and I got a list here of go ahead.
One more thing on Peyton Wilson.
Yeah.
Is that I know he went probably lower than a lot of people thought, but him coming back for his super senior year is the only reason he got drafted at all. If he goes last year, he's probably maybe getting a 6th or 7th round pick.
Yeah,
but more than likely, probably just getting an undrafted free agent contract somewhere.
Right.
So, he made a lot of money coming back, even if he went lower than you would have liked.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that, and we'll come back to him just for a second, but he's a guy that's going to go out in the field and give you everything he's got. He's that dog mentality, right? That Coach Gibson always preaches about, and so he's going to go and earn it. Hopefully he stays healthy and blows the league up. I mean, I was watching some of the coverage, and Nick Saban was shocked that he went so low, and he was on Nick Saban's whatever he was calling his rookie team. So they were, I think a lot of people were kind of surprised that he slid, but again, to the points that we've already mentioned here, I think that's probably why you saw him unfortunately go as low as you did. But so those were the only two that were drafted. We had a handful of guys that were signed as undrafted free agents. You had Savion Jackson go to the Chargers. You had Robert Kennedy also go to the Chargers. You had Joe Shimko, the long snapper, go to the Cardinals. You had Brandon Narvinson, the kicker, go to the Titans. You had Trent Penix sign with the Colts. So all those guys got signed undrafted free agent contracts. And then you had Shaheem Battle get a mini camp invite. So he hasn't actually signed a contract. He just has an invite to come essentially try out for the team. And then if he does well from that, then he'll get a contract.
The Jets? Was that right?
Jets. Yeah, Jets. Yeah. So kind of give me your thoughts, Michael. Anyone surprise you on that list that didn't get drafted?
No, I think I really was only expecting it to be these two guys. But I'm surprised. Well, not surprised, but I think Penix getting signed. Yeah, I kind of wasn't expecting that one, but
he's got a lot of potential. His issue has always been health, right? Injuries.
Yeah. Kind of the same thing with Peyton is probably why he's wasn't, because athletically and like size wise, he's like perfect NFL size. But you're right. Yeah, but and hopefully we get some guys like last year. Who was it? Pitts, right, with the Bucks. He was undrafted and made the roster.
Yep, he did. So, and look, and there's a history of dudes. You've got Kurt Warner's and who was the guy for the Steelers? That was that dude that's jacked, Harrison.
James Harrison.
Yeah, Wes Walker. Yeah, James Harrison. Yeah, James Harrison. Wes Walker was one that comes to mind. There's a few other. I think there's another quarterback that was pretty good. Besides Kurt Warner, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. So look, you just go out and make an impression, get noticed for the right reasons, and can you go play special teams, because that's what a lot of these guys are going to be probably asked of. Shimko probably has a chance, as a long snapper. If nothing else, here's the other thing. Tony Romo, thank you, Potter. That's who I was trying to think of. But if nothing else, you go out and show out in a couple preseason games if you can make it that far, get some tape, and maybe get signed to a practice squad somewhere, and make some money there.
Right, practice squad It's practice squad, but there's a lot of money on the practice squad.
There's a lot of money. Yeah. And you get to do what you want to do in your life, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's always a good thing. So anything else before we move on to the next topic? Anything football related? Oh, actually, you know what? I did have one more football related tweet here that I pulled up before we got started. Cam Riley. Yeah. Cam Riley here, that was a commit linebacker from Auburn. Due to many circumstances, I will be decommitting from NC State. Glory be to God. Thanks to NC State for the opportunity. I think the many circumstances was there was a lot of talent ahead of him, and he wasn't going to see the field.
Yeah, he hadn't been, at spring practice. He was going to come in the summertime, so that pushes you down. And I just think he knew he wasn't gonna at least have a significant role.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
I mean, look, you can't. I don't mean any disrespect. Look, you can't miss something that you didn't already have.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You didn't have. So, hopefully he finds him a good fit and gets. I mean, just what it is. Sometimes I'm more direct than I probably should, but hopefully he finds somewhere he can get some playing time and better himself and his career. And we wish him nothing but the best. He gave us some love, and we gave him some love.
I think people were excited about his size because he's basically the same exact size as Peyton Wilson, 6'4", 240. So at linebacker, that's kind of, you don't see many of them. So, but like you said, we didn't even get to see him in the spring game or anything to know what he was going to do. So it's it is what it is. That's just another scholarship that they can use on defense, because there's a couple spots.
There's a couple spots. Yep, I would agree with that. All right, so I think that's all we have for football. You have any last thoughts on football before we move on?
What is 4 months, right? August 29th?
I mean, hold on. I can
from today.
Give me it's true, right? I think we do play on the 29th or 30th. Let me
it's a Thursday. They moved it up to the Thursday night, right? The Western Carolina game. So that's 4 months.
Let's see. We are officially at oh, hold on. I don't know. I lost it. It's not important. It'll be here soon enough.
Yeah, I know.
All right, moving on.
I think it's the one thing about the basketball run, we were expecting that to be over the first week of March. So we got an extra month out of that. So that's another month we're closer to football without even really realizing it.
That's a good point. Yeah. We had another side distraction. So speaking of basketball, I think we're going to jump into some basketball here. Yep. Yeah. So the news of today, Jaden Taylor will be coming back for his final season. I think he's final season. He's a COVID guy. So that was announced about 5:00 this evening, which was great to hear. A key piece, especially during the run. I know he probably wasn't as healthy as he wanted to be. He had been battling that ankle injury late in the season, but nonetheless a big contributor. And thanks to his family, I have confetti. So I'm a fan favorite of JT. And we're excited to have him back in the fold for next season. So, I guess any thoughts? Good move for the Pack.
Yeah, that's a big one. I feel like I think most people expected him back, but you never know these days. So
never know.
It's good to see him confirm it. Yeah, and I don't know. Where, if I'm projecting next year's starting lineup. I don't know if because he was coming off the bench at the end of the year. I feel like he would slot back into that 6-man role, because it felt like he was more effective there. It could go in any number of ways with the transfers we brought in with Mike James, and Styles probably plays more of the 4, but between him and Mike James and who's the other guy? Marcus Hill, the latest one. Yep. You got a lot of options now at the guard position. So I'll be interested to see what he does, where he ends up starting.
Yeah, and I think so speaking of that, I'll bring up this one. Obviously, we found out about this last week, but Mo leaving
Yeah.
Mo, so it looks like he's going to try to enter the draft from
Yeah.
all accounts. And, there's some rumor out there if he doesn't go to the NBA, he potentially goes back to France and, plays in his home country. I don't know if that's a thing. I would assume that's a thing.
I would imagine that, yeah. I mean, if you're going to I feel like he could definitely get a pro contract in France pretty easily, being French, and having the year he just did.
Yep.
Obviously, the money's better in the NBA, more exposure and stuff. So, I mean, might as well say you're entering the draft, and then I'm sure he's got a French contract already lined up. I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine too. And people are like, well, he didn't hire an agent or he didn't do this or do that. Look, guys, I'm 99.9% sure he's gone. Like, if this says thank you, Raleigh. Like, normally they'll say something to the fact that I'm entering the draft but not doing this. Potentially coming. There's none of that. There's no cryptic things in this message. I think he's just appreciative of the opportunity. He had a heck of a run. Like you said, his draft stock and any stock that he has, it's just skyrocketed thanks to his postseason play or late season play plus postseason play.
Yeah. And I think he's a little older too. He played a couple years at JUCO, then in Missouri. So I think he's probably 20.
He's probably 22,
24 up there.
Yeah.
So it just kind of makes sense for him. But
so
it's tough.
Yep. And so you keep one, you lose one, and then you add one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this tweet's from I couldn't find like an official tweet from Marcus Hill himself, but this commit alert, which was last week, says Bowling Green star guard Marcus Hill, one of the top scorers in the transfer portal, has committed to NC State. And he's coming from Bowling Green, as the tweet said. And this is a guy that started at JUCO. He's a 6'4" guard, 185. He's a junior, so he technically has 2 years left. He's from Rockford, Illinois. And he was a 23-24 all-MAC team. So, all conference player. Averaged about 19 points a game. Just a good offensive scorer. Give you a couple assists, about 2.5 assists a game. And the one thing that does concern me is his turnovers, his turnover ratio. He had a lot of turnovers. Just that would be a concern of mine. But he shot. Let me see what he shot. He shot 44% from the field, and he shot 74% from the line. And he shot 3-pointers. He doesn't shoot very well at 29%.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I think that's he's definitely been, I've already seen a lot of debate about him, coming from Bowling Green. That's definitely a lower level. The MAC in basketball is pretty much one of the lower conferences. Not like in football, the MAC's pretty decent, but in basketball, they're not. I think I read something they didn't play a Power 6 conference team all year last year for Bowling Green. So
tough.
Yeah, the one thing that's going to be the big question is does that translate to the ACC level? But they're bringing him in to get in the paint. And
that's the kind of guard that Keats likes, right?
Yeah, he's most of transfers under Keats improve, especially their shooting. Just the offense just generates open looks. So hopefully, that kind of solves itself. But yeah, I mean, they're bringing him in to be. He's 6'4", so he's they're adding length, athleticism. He should be solid on the defensive end. Just being 6'4", sounds like he'll be a primary ball handler a lot. So,
which is what you needed, right? You had O'Connell, and so you kind of needed someone else to kind of run the point because when we figured out O'Connell or a true point guard was the answer, and you let Horn play off the ball, the offense got expeditiously better. Like it was night and day from what you had. So, and if you go back one season before that, when you had Jarkel Joyner running the point, you got T off the ball because that first year T was having to play more point guard. And so, the offense flows better when you have a true point guard in Keats' system, at least from everything that I've seen. So you hope that continues to translate.
Yeah. When you say true point guard, it's for Keats' system, I feel like, because, in a traditional sense, O'Connell's probably, your true point guard. You already have one on the roster, but, you the point guard that Keats likes, you have to at least be a threat to score and, draw the defense to focus on you, right? If you're just, if you're not a threat to score, they're just going to sag off, not let anybody else get open. So,
Yep. I'm still looking for that elusive shooter, though.
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm, I just look back to the days of when we had that shooter, and I just don't feel like we've, I mean, like, yes, we had Baby T a couple years ago, but he didn't necessarily shoot at a high percentage. He just shot a lot. Kind of you can say kind of the same for, DJ Horn a little bit, like if you'd have told me, like, if in 10 years, when we talk about all-time great 3-point shooters, I'm not so sure DJ Horn comes to mind. You know what I mean? Like, he made a lot, but he didn't necessarily shoot at a huge clip. I mean, I think he was around 38%, which is not bad, but
the
game has just changed.
Yeah, and getting a guy that shoots 40%, like, that's very rare too.
Yeah.
I think if you're at 37, 38, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
it's
good.
just like, again,
and
like
I
I said,
think,
it's just different.
Yeah. And, it's a true freshman, but Paul McNeil has got some of that hype as just being a pure shooter, but, he's obviously a true freshman, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you hope it translates, and, dude scored 60 points in a game this year, 70 points in a game, something.
I think it was 70 something. Yeah.
Some ridiculous, NBA jams number. So. All right, so that'll do it for men's basketball. I don't think anything else came through last week. I think everything else was prior to the week, because we had James and we had Styles. I think all that was before last week. I don't know. There's so much stuff going on; it's hard to keep up with it. But
now that Mo's leaving, that should free up one more scholarship. So I would imagine they go after another big to replace.
Yeah, I would think that. I would think that. Thank you, Michelle. 71. And Michelle asked earlier, like, who said this is coming back and who's not. From all accounts, O'Connell said he was back. It's not. I mean, Middlebrook hasn't said anything officially, but it would seem at this point that the portal is closing pretty quickly. So I would
May 1st. Yeah. So, they got 2 more days.
Yeah, but so I would imagine he's back. The one people kind of still curious about is MJ Rice. What does he do? Does he stay or go? I haven't heard anything in either direction. Hopefully, first and foremost, you would hope that he gets his mental health good to go before, even attempting to come back to play ball. That stuff's important. But as far as I know, that's pretty much the only thing that we're really waiting on. Are you tracking anything different, Michael?
No, I mean, just like you said, it's weird because of the portal. It's like anybody could leave. Before, it was like you kind of expected everybody back, and then it was like, okay, only the people who are announcing that they're going pro, and then the portal came, so it's like now people are announcing they're staying, and it's like, okay, yeah. But no, I haven't heard anybody else, so we'll see. 2 days.
It's the world we live in now. But just moving over, we got a few more to get through here before we close the show. But congrats to Mimi Collins as getting a tryout contract with the Minnesota Lynx of the WNBA. Hopefully she can go there and make an impression. She definitely has an uphill climb. I mean, we saw Elisa Cunane. In fact, I think it was Minnesota or maybe it was Seattle last year get drafted high. I think it was who got drafted by Minnesota. There was somebody that got drafted by Minnesota.
Kayla Jones, right?
Kayla Jones, thank you. Yeah, and she got drafted and didn't make it. And so, it's really hard for these young ladies to break through in the WNBA. They're very, very much a veteran-laden league, especially not having a full complement of like the same amount of teams as the NBA. So spots
I think,
for spots are far between.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last year, especially with Canadian and Jones. There's less teams, and there's less roster spots per team also.
Yep.
And there's no G League, as far as I know. There's no like G League.
It's called Europe.
So, yeah. So it's like, yeah, even if you like, yeah, we saw last year. Even if you're drafted, you're not guaranteed to even make a roster. So
no, but the only one that's guaranteed is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Because I think her name was what 17, 17.
I want to say she was top 10. But
I 7 is the number that's in my head, and I didn't know if it was 7 or 17. But yeah, it's insane. But all right, well, let's move on. We wish her nothing but luck, and hopefully, like I said, she can break through and make the squad. Yeah. All right, so this week we had a couple of signees. One we knew about, Tilda Trigger, the girl from Sweden, and a really good ball player. She's 6'6", so right on that power forward center, fringe, if you will. Someone that I believe you can probably will see. Between her and the next one we'll talk about. Well, actually, she's here too. I'm trying to remember her name. Caitlin Weimer. I think it's Weimer. Weimar. Weimer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we just signed her from Boston University, not Boston College. So Boston University, the Terriers. She is like all Patriot League. Like she was everything. Like she swept every award in the Patriot League. She was Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. She's been Player of the Year the last couple of years. Really good ball player out of upstate New York, Cortland Manor, New York. She's a senior. So I think she's going to be a grad. I think she's going to be a grad transfer. I think that's what she ends up becoming over. So 6'4". So kind of like I kind of see her as the kind of Mimi Collins, the role of Mimi potentially.
I think she slides in the 5. I think.
You think she slides at 5 at 6'4"?
Yeah. Okay. But I think that's a huge pickup.
Yeah.
I think she took another visit to Notre Dame.
She did.
And Notre Dame's going to be really good next year. I think it'll be State and Notre Dame at the top. Preseason projections. Probably Notre Dame 1, if we're being honest. They'll probably.
Yeah, because you get Olivia Munn back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for her to take visits to both them and us, and for us to get it, that's a huge win, I think.
And I'll say this, like they had a lot more NIL to offer, so she clearly came in because she wants to, come and potentially compete for. I think this is a case where you see the Final Four paying dividends, right?
Yeah.
If it's between us and Notre Dame, and we don't have the season we have, I'm not so sure we get her. Let me see. I heard someone say she's basically the new River Baldwin. Yep, Nicholas. Yeah. I mean, her stats are great. She averaged 16. Sorry, let me try to pull it up here. I'm sorry, 18.7 points a game and 10.6 rebounds a game. So yeah,
average a double-double.
Average a double-double. Yeah, and again, she's coming from the Patriot League, so you hope that translates. I didn't look at what kind of schedule they played, but look, when you're the player of the year of a conference, you probably can play pretty much anywhere, and this is been that way for a couple of years.
Yeah, even if she gives you, what
10 and 10,
right? Like she's not going to dominate, obviously, but if she can come in and be solid and play good defense, average, like you said, collect the rebounds, with State's guards, it's
right.
That's a big piece.
We're going to be able to score. Yeah, we're going to be able to score. So you want someone that can come in and play defense. She's Defensive Player of the Year. I feel like defense translates no matter what level of ball you play. If you can play defense, you can play defense. So you to Nicholas's point, River Baldwin was a really good defender. She may not have been the fastest, but she was very strategic in her defense. And look, if Caitlin can take the charges like River took last
I
year,
know.
we're going to be just
I
fine.
think she'll be going for the block more than River did.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, she had 88 blocks during the season, so she can.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know what her wingspan is, but it's probably pretty impressive.
And Kruger's kind of a wild card there.
She is.
It's you never know what to expect. I mean, on paper, she should be like seems like a perfect like stretch 4, but I don't know.
She averaged 16 points and almost 10 rebounds a game. So, and 3.3 assists. So she can, one of those maybe, kind of passing out of the paint type deal and, hit Isaiah James for a 3, type deal. This is what I'm seeing in my head for next season. But should be exciting. I think they might have one slot open. I know we had one transfer, Lewis. She's the only one that transferred out. So I think we're locked in at this point. Actually, no, we had another transfer. The girl that transferred in from Sacramento State. What was supposed to be like the 3-point.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
She was kind of injured. She had
injured, and but So I think we have.
One left. Because you have.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm speculating. I don't want to go down that path right now. We'll look it up for sure. All right, I think we got. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, congrats to the women's cross country team finishing first at the pin relays in their category. I can't really read the tweet. Let me see if I can blow it up and see. Women's 4x1500 first place finish. The team of Grace Hartman. I cannot read this. It's so small. Anyway, congrats to them.
So they finished first overall, the second best school time in school history.
Yeah. So, and for anyone that doesn't know, pin relays is pretty legit. It's like one of the premier events out there. So congrats to those ladies. And this will be your team looking forward, now that you have to replace Caitlin Toohey. Right. So that's, it's kind of maybe a first glance of what your 2024, 2025 team will look like. So congrats to those ladies out there. And then we have some more non-revenue type sports folks. Bart, congratulations. I'm going to screw up your name so bad, so I'm not even going to try it. He's a NC State alumni swimmer. Will be representing his home country of Poland. He's a 2-time All-American. In 2023, he was the 800 freestyle relay and 400 freestyle relay All-American. And in 2022, he was the 800 freestyle relay and a 3-time ACC champion, both in 2023 and 2022. So he will be representing, like I said, Poland at the Olympics here in Paris. And that's probably 60 days away.
Coming up like that. July. Yeah. Right. Usually start in late July.
Yeah. So congrats to him. One other tweet that we didn't have for tonight, the tennis team, women's tennis, will be hosting first and second round. They will be hosting South Carolina State, I believe, on Saturday, if I read that message earlier today. Right. Yeah, I hadn't heard about the men. Did they?
They got they were 14 seed.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I think that's 14 overall.
Oh, national. That's right. Yeah. They do it differently. That's a good call. Yeah. Kind of like what baseball does, the top 16 seeds.
And like the women, we talked about that with the women gymnastics. They were like a 16 seed, and we were like, but no, that's overall. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. The women's gymnastics had a nice season. But I think that is it that I had for all of our tweets of the week. So a little bit different show this week. Just having Michael and I on the horn. But you got any closing thoughts before we wrap this thing? Another big week in sports. Like you said, we got women's tennis on the weekend, and then we got the men's baseball happening, and we're getting to the home stretch of the academic season or academic sports season. I would say we don't have much more to go before we have those dog days of summer.
I know. Yeah, it's getting ACC championship time, NCAA championship time for all the non-revenue sports, and then then we got baseball. That goes out a little bit longer than most other
towards
sports.
the end of June.
Yeah. But we're getting there. It's crazy.
Yeah, we are. So then, right before you know it, we'll be into fall sports previews, and we'll be talking football here pretty quickly. I mean, like we said earlier, we're always talking about all the sports, and there really is not an off season anymore, which is kind of fun for us. We always have something to talk about. But
yeah,
I think that'll pretty much do it for this episode or this live stream. Again, we appreciate everyone hopping on with us as always, and we'll have a couple of episodes coming out. We didn't do any grind my gears. You have any grind my gears before we close? I know that's kind of Leighton's thing, but I really don't have anything. But
I didn't bring any this week.
Yeah, we have no grievances. Yeah, I don't really have anything, man. Which is odd being an NC State
Peyton Wilson.
There you go. Okay, hold on. I'll give it to you. Ready? Here you go.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, all the teams have passed on Peyton Wilson.
I like it. That's a great way to end the show. All right, Wolfpack Nation, we are officially done with this one. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll have a couple episodes out this week. I'm not really sure what it's going to be. It might be Chris's from One Pack NIL.
Yeah.
But regardless, there'll be good episodes. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you like us and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're out on Twitter or X. I still call it Twitter, but make sure you're subscribing to us out there. We are on TikTok now, so for all you youngins out there that like that TikTok, give us a follow over there. But all right, well, we'll see you next time. And as always, what do we say?
Go Pack.
Go Pack.